Poco F4 GT has made it to my studio today, and the moment I looked at its box, I knew that this was worth an unboxing video. Here's a giant and fat box of the phone with some information of the phone and box contents mentioned at the bottom. I'll quickly take it out of the wraps. In the meanwhile, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and if you find this video good enough at some point, do hit the like button. The like target for this video is just 1000 likes. Alright, at the top we have the sleeve, and inside the sleeve we get a SIM eject pin. There's some documentation, a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone converter, and a nice silicone case for the phone with space for the pop triggers of the phone. Underneath is the phone. The top sticker talks about some major specs including the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset, 120Hz AMOLED display, its 120 watt fast charger, and those pop triggers. I'll unwrap the phone and power it on. Let's get rid of the other contents of this box. Now here's a big 120 watt charger. I guess it's gonna take just a few minutes to fully charge your phone. A 1.5 meters charging cable purpose built for gamers with this L-shaped USB-C connector is given inside. I'll set up the phone and get back to you guys. Okay, the phone is all set, and first I would like to talk about its looks. First impression, the phone is beautiful, slim, but definitely very heavy. You have this unique style at the back going outwards. These accents I'm talking about, the same accent can be seen inside the camera module too. The LED flash actually is surrounded by a flash symbol. It looks really good and quirky. A really unique back, it looks dope, and the silver color casts those different shades which look stunning too. For the very first time in my life, I am using a phone with such filled sides. On the right side, you get the pop triggers alongside the sliders to pull these pop triggers. The power button cum fingerprint scanner is also on the right side. At the bottom is a big speaker, a mic, and a USB-C port. And on the left side, you get another microphone aimed at gamers, SIM card slot, and volume rocker. At the top is the second speaker and third mic of this phone alongside the IR blaster. Definitely one of the most button and port rich frames I have seen to date. Poco hasn't specified whether or not they are using any IP certification for this phone. It's a glass phone protected by Gorilla Glass Victus, and an aluminium frame makes it sturdy. The front, well, it also looks impressive. Although the bezels and bottom chin are not too thin, it still looks good. It's a 6.67 inches AMOLED display with 120Hz refresh rate and 800 nits of brightness. If I remember correctly, the Poco F3 had brightness of up to 1200 nits. So I think the brightness on this one is a little low. But 800 nits is a sweet spot, and most phones come with this number of nits these days. The phone uses automatic refresh rate and keeps changing the refresh rate between 60 and 120 Hz. During my limited time with the phone, the display performed well. Pretty much like any other AMOLED display, and colors look good on this one. It's an HDR supported screen. Media consumption is going to be good on this phone, and gaming experience will be equally good. I do miss the under display fingerprint scanner. Poco should consider bringing it to their F series. Haptic feedback of this phone is clicky. I really liked it. The phone ships with MIUI 13 on the top of Android 12, and it's a flagship software on this phone. For instance, you will find features like sidebar, second space, custom controls for the pop triggers, back tap gesture, along with a load of other useful gestures. There's always on display too, and with that 120Hz display atop of an extremely powerful hardware, the software runs super smooth. Animations look dope. For the gamers, the Poco F4 GT brings many sophisticated features in the game turbo toolbox. To sum it up, there are no compromises made in the software department of this phone. I got this phone with 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of internal storage. The RAM is DDR5 and storage is UFS 3.1. The storage benchmark score is on your screen, and this is quite a high storage benchmark score. Poco has gone all out this time and used the top-notch Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset in this phone This phone is supposed to be a gamer's paradise by all the means. I ran some benchmark tests on this phone first, and as expected the scores were hitting the roof. Over 900k in Antutu benchmark, top-notch score in the Geekbench, and truly impressive results from the 3D Mark test. One downside, however, is that the phone heats up too much. It goes up to 46 degrees and becomes untouchable. Now, this is something very common with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 phones, but I do remember that Poco has put a lot of emphasis on the liquid cooling system of this phone, but I do not see that working. I think a couple of software updates are needed to fix this. I played PUBG Mobile on this phone for a while. The phone offers extreme frame rate with HDR graphics, which means you are going to get the best of the best when it comes to the games like PUBG Mobile. I configured the pop triggers to fire and jump, and to be honest, I have never enjoyed playing PUBG Mobile this much before. Game's graphics were impressive, the gameplay was smooth, and pop triggers added a whole lot more to the charm. With the pop triggers, you can play many games without even touching the screen. For example, a game like Asphalt 9 where you can set one trigger to the nitrogen and one trigger to brakes, you can play that completely with these buttons without relying on the touch screen. Poco F4 GT is powered by a 4700 mAh battery. Since this phone heats up and it's that mammoth of a chipset that requires a lot of power to run, the battery hasn't been performing well on my end. I mean, while performing the 3D Mark test, I lost about 25% battery in just 10 minutes. My phone is new and I think it will take a few battery charging cycles for this to calibrate and perform better. 120 watts charger is there to quickly spruce up the battery backup on your Poco F4 GT. Okay, at the back you get 3 cameras. The main camera is a 64 megapixel Sony IMX686 sensor. The rest of the rear camera details are on your screen. On the front it brings a 20 megapixel Sony IMX596 camera sensor. Camera app is feature rich. Like any other flagship Poco or Xiaomi phone, you can see all the features on your screen. The Pro mode brings a RAW format too. Videos from the rear camera can go up to 4K at 60 frames per second. However, the ultra-wide videos are limited to 1080p at 30 frames per second only. Front camera can only go up to 1080p at 60 frames per second. I think this phone has EIS and that holds up pretty well in all of its recording modes. I'll attach a few camera samples to give you guys a basic idea about its camera performance. I haven't planned a full camera review of this phone yet, but let me know if you guys want to see that. I'll definitely try to work on that one. And with this we reach a conclusion. Poco F4 GT is a very powerful gaming device. This device doesn't fall short of anything that a gamer would love to see on a phone. In fact, it's more of a dream phone. With the improved features, the price of this phone has also increased. So while this phone is leaps ahead of its predecessor, its launching price is also way ahead. I do like this device and it gets my recommendation. I think gamers should definitely consider this phone. They will love the power and those pop triggers especially. But in the end, the choice is yours and you are free to drop your own thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. I will sign off and see you all in the next one.